Of those who are currently students, do you think it's possible and desirable, if the smart grading app is very, very good, to grade your paper on, say, Dostoevsky or Plato by a machine? How many would be comfortable, those who are students here? If you would be comfortable with that, raise the blue sign. And if you would not be, if you think in principle it's not possible, raise the red sign.
Students up there, if you think that if you're in that kind of course and your professors are spending an hour per exam grading them, I have hard news for you. If you think that they are grading the 100th exam with the same attention that they paid to the first, I have really hard news for you. And if you think that if you gave them the exact same exam 5 years in a row and they would give you the same grade on it, I have really hard news for you. So, Michael, with your assumption, with this grading app as good as a professor on any subject, let me assure the students in this room, if you want to be evaluated fairly and objectively, you desperately want that app.
Who wants that? Who wants that?
Yeah, but excuse me.
I don't want that.
But shouldn't that be the job of the teacher to actually not have a decline in attention by the 100th student?
Yes, it should.
I rest my case.
My case is whether or not it should, it doesn't happen, it's not going to
Well,
happen.
wait a minute. But that's like violating the Hippocratic Oath for a doctor. Like, if I'm a physician and I see 50 patients and the 50th patient is going to get not my services, what am I doing being a physician?
Wait, do you think today's physicians are totally consistent in their diagnoses?
Wait, no,
You
I'm
think
saying
that they don't get,
I'm
they
saying
don't
that
get fatigued,
I'm
they
saying
don't go through bad
that
times?
nobody's perfect, but we better aim for something higher
And when
than
the something
accepting
higher,
a
when
low
the something higher is a piece
result.
of technology, we should go that way if
Wait,
we want good
okay,
outcomes.
excuse
Now,
me.
there's no
May I
way
ju-
that.
I just have to
Go
say
ahead, go
something,
ahead.
because I actually feel very strongly about this. I'm on the fence with a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
No longer.
no longer. I'm stepping out, okay? This is it. All right. Now, I'll talk about something I know just a little bit about, which is when you have a kid, anybody, play one note, that can be replicated by anybody else. But you ask that same kid or person, adult, to make the second note happen. The way you actually join the first note to the second depends on the physical mechanism, the neuromuscular structure of the person, and what they want to hear inside. That path from one note to the next is going to be different for every single human being on this planet. The reason we have conversations with people is because you don't know where the conversation's going. If you have an app, I don't care how big the data, how great your algorithms are, it's finite. The idea of the human spirit who can actually get to something that is beyond the finite is, I think, that's part of every human being. And we want to look for that in every student. And we want to demand that every teacher pays attention to every single child in this classroom.
Ariana.
I really mean that.
All right, Ariana.
And God, my God, you're saying you were a professor at Harvard for 10 years? And that's supposed to be like the great institution, and MIT, whatever. That if that's not happening there, what are we, then are we just talking baloney all the time?
Absolutely.
No, I need to come back on that a little bit.
Right,
Because it's ringing language, it's lovely language.
It's more than language. This is content.
So let me give you content. Let me give you content. There was a famous study done looking at the parole decisions made by judges in Israel for a period of time. This is a tremendously important decision. These were extremely highly trained, dedicated people. they found out the single biggest predictor of whether or not the person would get parole was what time of day the judge saw the case. If it was first thing in the morning when he had his cup of coffee and he was alert, chances were good. When his blood sugar went down, there was no chance the person was going to get parole. What you say is lovely, except when we look at reality, it doesn't go that way. And when you have objective ways to make these evaluations, we should go with the objective ways if we want the right people to get out of prison and not the wrong people.
Okay, I would like to say that hooray for other ways of trying to find the truth, okay? So, and that's fabulous, but do not leave all the choice to someone that's non-human. Humans are incredibly imperfect. What we make with humans also are imperfect. Do you want to be condemned by a machine, or do you prefer that a jury of 12 people make their decision? And I just want to say that juries can change their minds. Would a machine change a mind?
I must say, I absolutely, completely agree with Yogi. I think that's an incredibly important point, because that's what ultimately distinguishes machines from human beings. There is something in human beings, however flawed, whether you want to call it a soul, whether you want to call it spirit, whether you want to call it inner wisdom, there is something that a machine has never had, will never have. And so for us to leave any kind of important decision, whether it's the grading of a philosophy or poetry paper, or the paroling of a convict, or the choosing of a mate, or any of these things to a machine is deeply troubling for me.
Wait,
I think we should...
even though we know that the wrong people the wrong criminals are going to be back out on the street,
I want
you comfortable with that outcome?
The point is that why do we know what machines will choose and how machines will actually identify who the deeper parts of what it is to be human and touch and tap
It's
into
not
those
about
parts
the
to
deeper
make a
power of being
decision.
human. It's about who's going to commit a crime when they go back out on the
But
street.
I want to go to an
The research is
example.
clear on
I want to
this.
shift to a different example. I want to pick up on a machine to choose us the perfect mate. There are dating apps out there already. Suppose, now, Netflix, if you tell them enough about your tastes in movies, and which movies you've liked and which you've disliked, they will predict what new movies you will like, ones you haven't seen. They've got a very good algorithm. Suppose a dating app became so refined and sophisticated that it could become, in effect, a marriage prediction machine, could give you a very short list of the best mates for you. Whose advice would you trust more? The advice of the dating app, or, well, this geared to the students, or the advice of your parents? Now, I put this question to someone we'll hear from now about whether he would want his children to use the dating app, and hear what Pedro Martinez had to say.
Best prepared than a human being to tell you how a human being is going to feel. I think you need to have a heart, you need to have a body, you need to have a soul, you need to have a spiritual beliefs that will lead you to all those things. Computers, chips, apps, everything is built by men. And you're basically relying on someone you don't know, someone that's absolutely brilliant, yes, but it's not like you. Yeah. You're unique. You're someone that cannot be duplicated. If I see my kids running into that, I did not do the proper job I should have done.
All right, let's just take a quick vote on the panel. The dating app, would you trust it? Well, maybe we'll put it to you, Alexis.
No,
Would you trust
my mom's
this
gonna
app?
see this.
Would you trust the advice of this app or your parents' advice more?
I don't know. I'm torn. I'm really torn. My mom is gonna watch this, and she's gonna. Oh, I'm sorry.
Should I cover your face? Would that help?
Oh, that's hard because I don't know. I think the trouble is that sometimes, like, who you think you are, who your parents think you are, and what some computer thinks you are three totally separate people. And I think you see that, you know, when you have asked people to fill out surveys about themselves, and then you ask their friends, oh, are they actually like this? You get totally wildly answered, like, no, they're not outgoing, they're shy, they're not this, they're that. And so it's which one of those three people are actually you? I don't know, who's to say? And so I don't know, I think you'll get decent answers from both of them, but you know, there's only one person, I guess, so I don't know which one would be more likely.
Rihanna?
Well, I think, first of all, there is no such thing as a perfect maid. Sorry to break it to you. And by that, I mean that there are multiple people with whom you could spend the rest of your life happily with. There isn't just one soulmate. I'm sorry, is that news to Harvard students? And also, there is absolutely nobody who is going to be perfect. Whoever finds them, the app, the parent, etc., at least if the parent helps find them, you can blame the parent. You can hardly blame the app.
All right. I also put this question vis-a-vis his kids to Conan O'Brien. Here's what he said.
I don't think they should rely on either the app or their father. I think they should go out in the world. And I think the greatest things happen in life when you're at the supermarket and you're reaching for that toilet paper and another hand reaches in for that toilet paper and your thumbs touch. I've done this many times. This is how I meet women. They're always in the toilet aisle. Point being, I think accident, fate, the hand of God, that's what I rely on. I don't mean God in any specific religious way.
I understand.
I mean the God that's on the money. You know.
But does this mean there's a limit to what smart machines can do in principle?
I think there is. I think there's a limit to what machines can do. I think accident, happenstance, things often go wrong to go right. A perfect example in my profession is my best moments are all accidents. If right now your chair were to suddenly break right here on camera, and I'm hoping it does, and you're injured, but not badly, but badly enough that it's kind of funny, that's a great moment. You don't want to correct for that. So correcting for every single possible mistake and having a machine do it is going to remove the humanity from our human experience, in my opinion.
So accident and imperfection, these are essential to comedy, and would you say also to our humanity?
Yes, I definitely. I think, how many people have looked at their parents and said, why did these two get together? These two don't belong together. But then you realize that you're the product of their coming together. And in my case, that changed history.
All right. It's a funny response, but it also touches on a philosophical thread that's been running through our discussions of apps and genetic engineering and smart machines. The role, Conan spoke about the role of accident and happenstance and imperfection. And Yo-Yo, you were just speaking about that very powerfully.
I know a lot about imperfection.
I think if you listen to the discussions that we've had, it's clear that we begin with these eye-catching technologies and apps. But the debates we have really are not about the technology in the end. They're ultimately about us, about how we should understand and negotiate our relations with one another and with the world that we inhabit. And there's a tension here between two ways of understanding our relation to the world. Most of the time, in our jobs, in our careers, in our professions as students, we aspire to mastery and control, to try to extend our ability to control our lives and events as fully as we possibly can. And yet there are moments when we notice that the project of mastery and dominion over nature and our children, our families, and ourselves comes up short. In those moments, we care about another set of human ambitions to do with wonder and appreciation, sometimes reverence, even awe. And so here's the question that I think has run through everything we've debated here. In an age of apps and genetic engineering and smart machines, could it be that our drive to mastery, sometimes at least, begins to eclipse or to displace our capacity for wonder, for beholding the world rather than simply aspiring to mold the world? Perhaps our humanity today, given our vast technological powers, perhaps our humanity requires that we at least sometimes rein in that impulse of mastery and control, that so as to protect and nurture our capacity to behold the world, to take it in. I want to share with you this idea of beholding the world, of being open to the world as it is given. It's not easy to articulate, but I want to share with you an eloquent expression of this stance of beholding, of wonder and awe, of openness to the world as it is given. And it comes not from a professional philosopher or from a theologian, but from a Hall of Fame pitcher. I asked Pedro whether he worried, and listen to his answer. This is the last clip for the control room. Whether he worried that young people are spending too much time glued to cell phones and screens and digital devices. Listen to what he said.
I think we miss out. I think we miss out by not realizing what a good moment is, what a beautiful moment is. When you see a lightning from far away, and then you see a rainbow, if you don't stop to look at those things because you're too busy looking at yourself, I think you miss out, because I think it's beautiful. I think nature is beautiful. I think the rain is beautiful. I think seeing a clean river with a lot of life in it is beautiful. I think looking at the stars and the way the universe is extraordinary. I think seeing like a shooting star is something that you must see. You must live. You must experience. You have to be there. I'm not a big fan of sleeping because I want to see everything. I just want to see. I just want to experience. I don't want my life to just continue on and let the time, see me disappear without me seeing what the time has to offer.
Wow. Science and technology can do wondrous things. But one of the things they can't do is tell us how they should be used. That is up to us. That is our responsibility as human beings and as democratic citizens. And in order to discharge that responsibility, we need, more often than we do these days, to step back, argue together, reason together about some big philosophical questions, including what makes for a good life, including the question, how do we want to live together? Tonight, in this great civic gathering place in the heart of Boston, you and this remarkable panel have offered a glimpse of what that kind of reasoned, reflective public discourse can be. And for that, I want to thank you all very much.